Thank you for tuning in to Trey Ball. You are listening to our 2021 NBA season preview. We're going division by division. Next up, we have the Southwest Division. We're looking at the San Antonio Spurs, the Grizzlies, the Rockets, the Mavs, the Pelicans. There's going to be a lot of exciting basketball coming out of this division. Starting with San Antonio, I do think that their run is over, but biggest question mark with San Antonio is, they always know how to find the next guy, the next player, the next leader to build their organization around. They had that in Kawhi, even though they let it slip through their fingertips. I want to see what happens with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. I think there's a lot of um, options to trade one or both of them. What you get in return is going to tell a lot about what direction the San Antonio Spurs are headed in. If you're looking to trade DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge strictly for draft picks, that's going to tell me that they're planning to do a long rebuild, try to build through the draft again. Hopefully they find another diamond in the rough like they did with Kawhi Leonard. Tim Duncan, when they got Tim Duncan, he was the number one in the draft. And then, like I said, over the years, they kept building their team. They got Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and guys like that they picked up from overseas. And one thing that has always stood out through San Antonio has been their culture that has taken a hit since they got rid of Kawhi and all that debacle, the situation between Kawhi and his teammates. As it started to unfold, we started to see the fall of the San Antonio Spurs organization as we know it. But maybe a few trades with DeRozan and Aldridge, and they still have Rudy Gay on the books. So maybe moving a lot of their older guys and DeRozan can change the direction of the team, change the direction of the organization back onto that championship path they were on for 20 plus years. We go into that more in depth on Outside the Playbook podcast. If you haven't heard it, check it out on Spotify. Shameless plug. Moving on to the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant was absolutely electrifying his first NBA season. The rightful Rookie of the Year. I don't think there's really any real threat to him getting that award from Zion. Zion came in, he sold tickets, packed arenas, played well. Tyler Hero played great. Kendrick Nunn had a great rookie year for the Miami Heat, both of those guys. But Ja Morant was head and shoulders above everybody else simply because, one, the level of responsibility he had, two, the performances he was putting on throughout the year, and he was selling tickets, and he was on highlight reels, but he was playing a very good basketball game. A lot of times you see guys hit that rookie wall throughout the NBA season. I don't think that Ja Morant really hit that wall at all. He was just sticking to his guns, playing his game, playing within the offense, making things happen on both sides of the ball. We've seen that game he played against Kyrie Irving. That's probably going to be one for the books for him. He's going to look back on that as a classic performance or a classic matchup just for him. But again, even as well as he played as an individual, I think one thing that is probably eating them alive is how they fumbled away that roster spot. You held on to the 8th seed as long as you could. You get to the bubble, you lose several important key games, especially with the way that Damian Lillard was cooking. 40 points, 50 points, 60 points. An all-time performance by him, and you have to somehow find a way just to hold him off. You have to find a way to get the job done. And ultimately, even though he is a really young player, that was his rookie season, that's going to mainly fall on Ja Morant. Now you have a year under your belt. You learn from your mistakes. You come in next season, you hope Jaren Jackson can return and play at a high level. You add in Justice Winslow from the Miami Heat. You still got Dylan Brooks. You have Jonas Valanciunas. You can possibly make another run at that 8th seed. You have the talent to get there. Ja Morant proved, even as a rookie, he has the ability to lead a team to that next level. I want to see Ja Morant go from being Rookie of the Year to pushing it to being an All-Star potentially this coming season. Their ceiling is that 7th and 8th seed. I'm going to see them hanging around that that level for quite some time until they get another star, or if Jaren Jackson can take that leap as well to become an all-star in the near future. Moving on to the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks should be thinking conference finals from this point on. I think they have by far one of the best young tandems. I mean, I'm not going to say the best tandem because that's still LeBron and Anthony Davis, but the best young tandem is still KP and Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is a serious 20, 10, and 10 threat. Actually, you know what? Luka is a 25, 10, and 10 threat every single time he steps on the floor. KP, he's a 25 and 10 threat as well. But the biggest key for the Mavs is finding that third guy. I think Tim Hardaway can be that third guy, but he's just too inconsistent for me. I think them trading Seth Curry and adding Josh Richardson, that's going to be a good. I mean, it doesn't matter who's third and fourth. Both of those guys together can make an impact on the floor on both sides of the ball because Josh Richardson, again, coming over from Miami, coming over from Philly, he's been with organizations that are great defensive teams. And I think, I mean, even looking at Tim Hardaway's past couple of years, he's averaging, I mean, past 3 seasons, he's averaging over 15 points. I would like to see him at that level or higher, and you add Josh Richardson on the floor next to Luka Doncic. That's a great one point guard, shooting guard, small forward lineup for the near future. All three young guys, I think they're going to be able to contribute for a long time. I think they're one piece away to be in that championship conversation. But the biggest question mark for them is KP's health, and he hasn't had the greatest health track record the past couple of years, but I look for him to have a very good, healthy season coming up. Now looking at the Pelicans, I think that this is a same situation with the Grizzlies. They should be looking at this year as an opportunity to make the leap to 8 or 7th seed in the Western Conference. I think Brandon Ingram becoming the most improved player in the NBA, that award, just like the Rookie of the Year, that award was a done deal very early on in the NBA season last year. I think Brandon Ingram came out, put a stamp on that team as the clear offensive, first option. And then also you bring in Zion Williamson to the fold. You have two guys that are going to be your future superstars for years to come. And then you have good young players surrounding them, and Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart. Jackson Hayes is the type of player, he kind of reminds me of Jarrett Allen, very athletic big. He can block shots, he can get on the boards, but he's going to be very good in an up and down game, especially with Lonzo running the point guard position. And you added Eric Bledsoe to the mix. He was pretty decent in Milwaukee. I mean, you can't take anything away from him. He's a pretty good player, but I feel like he's more of a scoring point guard, not very much of a facilitator. So that's going to bode well with him playing side by side with Lonzo Ball. Frank Jackson's pretty good young player that they have as well. Willie Hernan Gomez, he's a pretty decent big for them, but I think your bread and butter is going to come down to Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and the pieces around them with Lonzo Ball, J.J. Redick, Jackson Hayes, Steven Adams, Josh Hart, Eric Bledsoe. I mean, that's a pretty solid team right there. And if guys on that team keep making the leap, if guys on that team continue to make leaps forward, if guys on that team continue to make the leaps and bounds forward within the years to come, I mean, like I said, Brandon Ingram is going to be your superstar of the future along with Zion Williamson. That's a great 1-2 punch to start your franchise on a rebuild after you trade away Anthony Davis. I mean, if I'm the Lakers, I wish I had Brandon Ingram on my roster still. But if I'm New Orleans, I could not have made that deal without Brandon Ingram being a part of it. So good for the Pelicans getting all the pieces that they need, the necessary pieces to go ahead and build that future while still competing for a present spot in NBA playoffs. The next team that I'm going to talk about is the Houston Rockets. Now, I'm of the mindset that I hope that Boogie and John Wall, they both bounce back strong from their injuries. I do think they need another big man to really relieve some of the pressure off of Cousins having to come in and perform right away and be the Cousins of old right away. I think it's going to take some time for him to even look like half the player he was, because he was that dominant and that elite in the post, inside and outside, even that skilled of a big man. So it's going to take some time for him to get back into the flow of things. But I think playing the side of John Wall, that's going to make it a lot easier on him, because mentally, being a player coming back from injuries such as the ones he sustained, you want to be comfortable, and there's nothing more comfortable than playing with your college teammate whom you've been trying to get on the same team for years and years and years, and the opportunity just hasn't been there for you to do so. And now you have a God-given opportunity to play with a close friend of yours. I mean, that's big for them, but for both of them. But like I said, I think they need another big man to relieve some of the pressure off of Boogie. But the biggest issue I have with Houston Rockets is James Harden. The problem with that is, at first, the issue was Dwight Howard. Okay, you get rid of Dwight. Then the issue was Kevin McHale. You get rid of Kevin McHale. All right, I need another star. You bring in Chris Paul. First year you lose to the Golden State Warriors, you say, well, if Chris Paul was still able to compete and if he was still on the floor in the last couple of games, then we would have won that series, and ultimately we would have went on and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers for the championship. Okay, so let's see what happens. Following year, you match up against the Golden State Warriors, and you have Chris Paul, you have all your guys, you have all your troops, and you wet the bed. You completely and utterly wet the bed against Golden State without Kevin Durant being on the floor, the best threat that Golden State had. Look, I love Steph Curry. Steph is an all-time great shooter and point guard. But you lose to the Golden State Warriors without their top gun, and all this time your complaint and excuse was, well, we didn't have Chris Paul. Guess what? That falls on the leader of the team. That falls on James Harden. At the end of that series, he said, well, we all know what has to happen, and I have faith that it's going to happen. He didn't have to say anything else, because we all knew that what he was alluding to was we need to get rid of Chris Paul. Okay, trade Chris Paul. You bring in Russell Westbrook. A lot of people can say whatever they want about Russell Westbrook, but last year Russell Westbrook had the most efficient season of his entire NBA career. 27, 8, 8. He's shooting about 47% from the field. Career high, okay? You still have a lot of the same guys around you. Yes, they trade Clint Capella. Yes, they go completely small and have PJ Tucker at this playing the center position, but that's been pretty much the same way you've played for the past several years, whether Clint Capella was there or not. You've always played small ball, and you had a 6'10" guy on the floor for extensive minutes since Dwight Howard was there. So I don't think you have any more excuses at this point that you can use. We need to hold him accountable the same way we hold Giannis accountable for his pitfalls in Milwaukee. You have to get the job done. After years and years saying, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, we're almost there, we're a step away. Well, you've been a step away for about 3 or 4 years, so it seems like a lot more than one step. Now, Mike D'Antoni's gone, Russell Westbrook's gone. I mean, really, it comes down to, are you really the person in the NBA that can be considered the guy? There's only a handful of those. Kawhi's proven that he can be that guy. LeBron has. Kevin Durant can be that guy. Steph Curry can be that guy. But are you that guy? I'm not talking about putting up 40, 50, 60. I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 championship rings. But hey, that remains to be seen. I mean, I know he's going to continuously try to force his way out of Houston. But if you ask me, no matter where he goes, he's still going to have to answer the same questions. Are you really that guy. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Special thanks to Curtis Murphy and Murphy's Elite Training for sponsoring today's episode of Trey Ball. If you want to upgrade your game or simply upgrade on merchandise, his link is in the description below. Until next time, you know the rules.